Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Forge of Champions. We have just seen Excel dispatch M&M 2-0. Despite the remake, they managed to come back in the technical third game and completely wipe M&M off the face of this tournament.
2.5.
2.5.
We'll call it 2.5.
2 and 8.
Yeah.
It wasn't very far into that second game.
We're not getting back into percentages.
But regardless, it was a good performance from Excel. They definitely looked strong. Coming off the back of was a shaky series versus Twitter Randoms yesterday, and we will see them next week in our first semi-final, or one of the semi-finals, whichever one it will be. Yeah. Right, moving on, we have our next matchup, and it is a matchup these two gentlemen are fairly excited about, because it is going to be Nuclear Storm versus Wind and Rain. Now, Nuclear Storm Gaming are, as you might be able to tell, an Irish organisation with 4 Irishmen and a German on the squad. One of those Irishmen does happen to be Northern Irish, but regardless, we're going to...
He claims Irish, it's good.
Exactly. We did clear it with him that we could call him Irish beforehand.
We got you, Joe.
But I think I'm going to play the realist here, and obviously these hype men are going to tell me why I'm wrong. They go in as the distinct underdogs. I don't think that's wrong to say. And I would be thoroughly surprised if they even take a game here. There we go. That's the statement that opens this up. Tell me why I'm wrong.
You go first.
I mean, I'm looking towards the jungle, which has, first of all, traditionally been NSG's weakest point. Wind and Rain haven't had the strongest jungle performances out of Nolte, and Nolte, a player that has faced off against NSG previously when he was on Phelan. This might give them enough comfort to kind of get into the later stages of the game. Look, I don't disagree that they're coming in as the underdogs, but who doesn't love a good underdog story?
I can actually wholeheartedly tell you that NSG are going to win, and the reason I have figured out the secret to winning on Forge of Champions.
Oh, okay.
You must talk.
That might be helpful. A bit late, but
it's a bit late. It's a bit late, but I didn't want to give it away too easy.
Obviously,
you know what I mean? You don't want to give it away too much, but you have to talk to the king of Poros, the Poro king himself. And I just happened to be having a nice conversation with the man himself. And he's very unbiased. He's very much a 50-50 kind of guy. Elo is what he craves. But, you know, sometimes I'm just going to just slip that to him. And we'll see.
I don't think the camera saw what you slipped to him,
but these are Poro snacks.
Ah, I see.
These are Poro snacks. So we're going to slip them to him. And we'll see how this series goes.
I think,
that's never been done to win, by the way.
You don't know that. If this wins, hang on.
You know, you can't prove that.
If this wins, results-based analysis, Poro King is legend.
But we've only had him for 3 weeks.
We don't know that yet. We don't know how long he's existed.
We also had a week where we had you and another Irish caster, and the Irish teams didn't do very well.
Yeah, but I'm the other Irish caster, and I haven't cast an Irish team lose, technically.
I'm just saying that he's coming on stream now, and he says, he says 2-1 NSG.
2-1, okay,
2-1
wow. You can't contest inanimate object predictions. Let's go.
Inanimate monarchs.
Inanimate monarch predictions.
Yeah.
Can't contest those.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. You have a monarchy.
Do I?
Yeah, in England.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot about that. I felt like
I'm not really a royalist. I'm a bit of an anarchist, to be honest.
That's fair. But King Poro decided. But we are going to jump into picks and bans, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Wind and Rain on the blue side with Nuclear Storm Gaming on the red. And we'll have to see look now. I'm very much curious to see, like you said, jungle being weakest for both these teams. Do they focus it?
Well, Graves.
Yep. I didn't look until after they picked their ban.
Fill me in here, lads. Is Graves something that XJ likes to pick a lot?
Yeah, I mean, XJ has traditionally leaned towards the farming junglers, and you actually saw that in the Hyperion game. The game that Graves was picked away from him, Hyperion absolutely decimated the jungle. I think it was like a 6k gold lead on the Graves alone over the jungle counterpart. So, yeah, I mean, might be doing them some favors there, taking it away and not first picking it themselves.
These feel very targeted, by the way.
I was just going to say, Zoinkers is he's a very, very good Rise player in his own right. Like, I would say he would be very much kind of like up there with kind of some of the best Rise players in kind of UK and Ireland. He's very, very good on that champion, something that they want to get rid of away from NSG. Zillion coming out. These are incredibly targeted.
These are all targeted.
Yeah, I mean, Akitsune gets those bans against him pretty much every series.
The stats.
Yes. It's a bit of an ego boost that he has that banned away from him time and time again. And is a specialist of his. He likes to pick up that Zillion. Talia coming through, and Camille obviously aimed at Kerberos. Kerberos has got known for playing Camille, and
Aatrox has been left up.
Yes, and that is a Kerberos. That's a Kerberos pick, by the way.
But is it a Zizzle pick? Just in case you look at his name, it is Zizzle.
Zizzle.
Yeah.
I have seen Zizzle play before, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
He's the German.
Yes, he is. He is the German.
He is that German, yeah.
But,
Wunderbar. That's like the base of my German
It's
god.
So you know how to say wonderful.
Yeah. It's like, would you like a receipt? Wonderful. It's like, oh, okay, I guess, yes.
He's likely holding on to the counter pick anyway, so that's
Yes.
not a huge issue for them. They can kind of hold off for that for a while. On the other side, though, I mean, you could still go for the Aatrox. You could try to avoid it. I think if they go for the Aatrox, I'd expect the Poppy to quickly counter it.
Yeah, I think Poppy's a solid pick into the Aatrox. I would be surprised if Wind and Rain didn't pick it up because it is Kerberos, and I know how much Kerberos loves that champion specifically.
I do like this, though. Again, we talked about how XJ preferred farming junglers, and I thought Nidalee is something that he might go for generally. I understand.
I would be surprised. I would be surprised if they put Kerberos on the Gragas, though. That was the only qualm that I have. Like, I would just be surprised with that. I just feel like Nolte is likely going to be stuck on Gragas duty right now.
It makes the most sense to me, especially considering I think I've seen Nolte a few times pick up that Gragas himself, or certainly some of those tankier members.
That's a Crossman pick. That's Crossman's #1 pick in terms of the way he's performed for Wind and Rain. Going into the Orianna here, will get shoved out once that lost chapter gets finished for Orianna, but the kill pressure always maintains.
Yeah. The kill pressure, I think, is the big thing.
Do it.
Looking at that.
Do it. LCK, 100% win rate.
Yeah. I mean,
cheers
you know
to
what?
the TO. You know, it's not an incredibly terrible pick, but it is definitely not a good pick. Pyke is far more comfortable for Blaze. We talked about this a little bit off broadcast. Blaze is very, very proactive when he's on that, and it also enables him to kind of shore up the shortcomings of his jungler not being able to make so many plays.
Sure. Now we're going to the second ban phase here, and I'm wondering where things are going to start to target. You would imagine the support pool might get cut down a little bit, although it's Akatsune, he can play anything. I guess they target Kerberos because he hasn't picked anything yet, and
Maybe
Kerberos
to ban the Aatrox now, just in case, so you're not forced into something like a Poppy pick. But no, they're actually going to take away Akatsune. In fairness, when we did see the Zilean banned away, he actually had a better game on Vel'Koz afterwards. So
arguably.
Arguably, I mean, he had a very good game on Vel'Koz previously. Certainly in the quarterfinals anyway, the last tournament. But taking that away, maybe not the worst call, and then that probably leaves one more top lane ban left up.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there is that support pool getting pinched for Akatsune there. He does have kind of these weird...
Poppy's been banned.
That's interesting.
Okay.
I guess they wanted to wait because they didn't want Poppy to get picked on first rotation, and now if they don't see the Aatrox coming here, then that could be something that Wind and Rain pick up for free, basically.
Okay. But the thing is as well is that like with the Morgana ban as well, it seems to be a lot of focus towards this bot side. They want Pyke to get ahead. They want the Jhin to get ahead. Yeah. Even if it goes to kind of Aatrox in the top side for Zizzle, we actually haven't seen that from him. So I'm curious to see if they're willing on the side of Wind and Rain to let that one go with their final ban.
Well, this is interesting now, and it strikes me as super interesting because you probably pick your jungle here looking for the top lane counter.
Wow.
I feel like this is Aatrox for
one of them should be picking it anyway.
Even if either, maybe they don't play it. Maybe neither.
No,
I'm
no, Kerberos 100% plays Aatrox.
And I believe Zizzle has as well.
Kerberos also plays Urgot. It doesn't mean that he's going to win on it.
You know,
like I'm not calling them out or anything like that. I'm just saying it's not a foregone conclusion. Actually, Sejuani, they're going to leave the
they want the counter pick top. I get that.
But they've just banned some really good Aatrox counters here.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what
Karma
comes up
top.
Here. If they go
Bring
for
it
I would
back.
love to see him pick Karma top into Aatrox. That would be a hilarious matchup.
Is that something that Zizzle plays?
He was the top Karma US, I think, 2 seasons ago. Since kind of stopped. He stopped playing it when he joined a team to open his champ pool, but I wonder if it's something he keeps in the back pocket.
One-tricked it to nearly Challenger.
No, he was in Challenger for a while.
In Russia.
No, he was in Challenger here when he was still playing Karma.
True.
I'm going to wait until this next pick comes through.
Because the Nautilus?
Yeah.
Because the Nautilus.
Because the Nautilus. The Nautilus is likely going to be going to Akatsune heavy engage lane. Yes, that speaks volumes. It's going to be a heavy engage lane with the Kai'Sa. I mean, Kai'Sa, you can't sit on how much damage she can output early game. She is, as you saw with Venza, can be fairly dominant, and Nautilus will definitely give that space over to her. The Gangplank's an interesting one.
I wanted to bring that up.
So
what do you guys want to make of that? Because like everything was up. Darius, Aatrox, like a lot of really high priority top laners that we know Kerberos plays. He picks the Gangplank and then it gets going up against the Mundo, and it's such a weird draft from both sides.
We were sitting on top lane for so long, and we were sitting on that Aatrox for so long. Both teams knew that, and I understand what NSG were doing. They were trying to bait it out. They must have something in plan, and I don't know how heavy a bluff it was on both sides as to what they had planned into Aatrox.
The power of the Poro King. He's giving them a free ban. You know what? They're not even going to pick it. Don't ban it.
But
just whispers.
What I do want to look at, though, is you were talking about how important this mid lane will be. You picked a very aggressive mid laner from the side of Wind and Rain. You need to execute on that. Because if that's the part of your comp that falls apart, that's where you'll struggle.
Massive kill pressure bot lane. I mean, it's something that Crossman does time and time again. One of the reasons we saw Wind and Rain do so well against XL in the second tournament, I believe. I believe they won one game in the second tournament versus XL. Crossman roamed bot a hell of a lot on this LeBlanc. I mean, he was going down there and smashing Venza and Quicksef time and time again. With the heavy kill lane that you've got on the bot side of the map, I mean, you're up against the Mundo. Unless you pressure Mundo pre-6 here, you leave Gangplank to farm. Yeah. Kerberos is by himself. This is Kerberos versus the world right here. You do not touch that lane.
1v9.
Yeah, well, no, not quite, but he's not getting touched. Unless you're touching it pre-6 and Gangplank is useless in the early game anyway, you just don't go top. You sit bot.
I think even early you could go mid lane and then try as a 4-man go bot. So I was try to get Crossman rolling.
I was just about to say, I think, you know, the pressure, even when you look at the mid laners from both sides and the junglers from both sides, it's all bot. It's all just like everyone just pile in, TPs come in. I actually expect maybe around level 6, maybe level 7, you know, just before bot lane hits level 6, we're going to see a lot of engages coming down there, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a spicy one for sure. Not too many ways to disengage versus a Nautilus if you're a Pyke. And Nautilus feels like a pretty solid pickup into the Pyke. I feel like as a genuine counter pick there. You know, Pyke tries to go in on this big beefy Nautilus. He just turns around and slams you, roots you, pulls you back in, has the shield as well to generate and prevent damage going through. But let's have a look at NSG's composition off the bat. I mean, it's one of these simple compositions to execute on. I mean, we talked about it before with Eminem. You just throw Sejuani with the ball in there, you hope some magic happens, and you try and win the team fight that way.
I mean, I was looking at them before, and their strength has always been, once they actually get to the team fighting stage, they can hold up surprisingly well, given how generally they are ranked lower than all these teams. They need to get there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you've seen them punished, especially when you have the jungler being a weak link, you see them punished in the lanes, and while it might look that the lanes are weaker, it's realistically there's this heavy amount of pressure coming from the enemy jungler. Can Nolty provide that? Or even can picks like this LeBlanc provide that in the mid lane? I don't know.
It's definitely up there. I want to have a look at specifically how this plays out towards the late game, though, because Kaisar is one of the few AD carries, in my opinion, that if a Mundo runs at her, Kaisar's favored.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's like one of the few AD carries in the game where I can turn around and say, I want to match a late game Kaisar versus a late game Mundo. Kaisar will shred.
Yes.
Like she will destroy and shred hard. You saw how much she was ripping the Poppy apart from Eminem when she tried to run her down. Very few AD carries in the game can do that. And one of the strengths of Mundo is that he can just run headfirst into an AD carry and brush off the majority of the damage with his ultimate. So even when this gets towards the late and you have this really solid, beefy frontline and good teamfight composition, you still got this Kaisar who's going to rip your Sejuani and rip your Mundo to shreds.
100%, but you do have a lot of engage options from NSG.
Yes, you do.
So it's whether they can find that onto the Kaisar, because after that, their team fight is, can LeBlanc burst someone? If not, our team fight just kind of ended.
Kaisar reliant in the late game for sure.
I was going to say, is that like, apart from the burst...
Well, actually, Gangplank.
Gangplank's got very, very late game damage, but just to cut before you go on that point, is that if the Kaisar does get locked down, blown up before the LeBlanc can find her target onto, say, like the Jhin or the Orianna, you will find a lack of consistent damage, and then the Mundo doesn't really die. That's the big issue there. Like we've talked about it in previous games. Like, how do you kill the Mundo without the Kaisar? And honestly, you don't. That's the big problem right now. So the priority for the side of NSG has got to be get the Kaisar out of the picture and then see how we go. Whereas the side of Wind and Rain, they're like, keep her safe, keep her kind of pumping out that damage, and they will own late game teamfights.
Well, I guess Ultimate's going to be super impactful at doing that.
Yeah, and that's why I do like the Gangplank pick, because we said it at least offers a secondary damage as they scale further on. What I will say though is Gangplank's great if a fight's kind of ending and you pick up a few things, or starting and you get a good barrel combo. In the middle of a fight, if it starts getting scrappy, you have a lot of quick CC to throw down him. He can cleanse one of those, and after that, you have a lot of damage quickly to return.
I got a question, something that I've been thinking about, because I haven't seen Gangplank since the new update. No, not the Poro King. No.
He's just interested.
Is Stormrazor a good item for Gangplank in the top lane? Because does it give you an automatic crit on the barrels?
It's very good.
Yeah, okay. I thought it might be. I thought it might be. In my head, I was just thinking, that sounds like a good item for Gangplank.
Yes, the Triforce Stormrazor double item spike is pretty huge.
Is it filthier than it was before?
Yeah.
Guaranteed crit on a barrel, like.
It's not even the barrel. It's you just walk up and queue them, and then it's ready by the time your next queue comes up, so you can just keep getting Storm Razor procs on them.
That's pretty good.
Along with, a lot of people lean towards Grasp the Undying. If you want to try speed up that spike, depending how Kerberos wants to play, you can go for the Klepto either.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I think both of them work fine. In that Mundo matchup, I'd imagine Klepto is probably easier to pull off.
It is, but Grasp can also give you the health to survive if a Mundo just starts running you down as the game goes on.
Sure.
So we'll see which way he leans.
So boys, I actually forgot to do this in the previous series, but I'm going to do it this time since we just got a little bit of time. Predictions.
I mean,
genuine predictions.
Whoa.
How dare you?
I mean, I honestly think off comps alone, I still like where NSG have gone. I think it plays to their strengths. Whether those strengths are strong enough is the question, but I'm going to stand by them and say...
Your words tell me one thing, your eyes tell me another.
I got to go with an honest appraisal right now. I actually think NSG, with a simpler executed comp, with a little bit more of a kind of like, as soon as they catch Kai'Sa out, if they catch the Kai'Sa out, they can do a lot with it. I feel like they can take it.
All right. Well, I'm not going to give you any of my opinions, so I'm just going to leave you at the door here.
The safe host position.
The safe host position as we jump straight into game, ladies and gentlemen, for game one of this quarterfinal between Wind and Rain and NSG, also known and not in their what was it? Abbreviation as Nuclear Storm Gaming.
Yeah.
And can they cause a storm? That's the question.
NSG is just so much easier to say. Nuclear Storm is a bit of a mouthful, but
it is a little bit. But
it's all good.
It's a good 3-letter acronym.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Now, to give people at home a little bit of what would be the word?
Context.
Context as well as why we're a little bit high. As I say that though, Ignite and into the Kai'Sa, that is just straight away.
I mean, I can hear Scatter laughing in the background. I'm laughing too. I mean, good.
He's still on comms, and you can just hear his dopey laughter just coming off on the back end.
I mean, that was pretty funny. You gotta have that. That was rough. That is not how you want to say.
I'm only laughing because it was like the hope of Ireland.
Yeah, I was setting it up as this big thing, and then they just kind of like threw it all away. But that was a bit of a misstep, unfortunately, for the side of NSG. Blaze stepping a little bit too forward. Stop laughing!
Tyke's face is too funny.
Stop laughing!
He's trying to suppress this disappointed laugh face.
We are professionals, and the game is not lost within the... Hey, if the game was lost within the first blood...
Yeah, no, look, it's not over.
Eminem would have won.
I'm memeing.
Yeah.
It was more Tyke's face when this happened. I just couldn't stop laughing at it, and now I'm going to leave you again. I think Mundo's doing a good job. I'm going to pass out now.
Thank you, Excandrel. Mundo is doing a good job.
Look, that was rough. There's no two ways about it, but can they recover that mentally and, you know, start walking into the lane a bit safer? Yeah. I mean, we knew that the early on, I actually did like the Nautilus pick into Pyke, for the reasons that you are this big tank that's kind of hard to take out. On top of the fact that you just provide extra CC for Kai'Sa's passive, so you can quicker to stack it. It's just such a quick turnaround as well that I don't think they were prepared for.
Yeah, gonna be very difficult for them to try and turn this one around. Not great giving Kai'Sa an early kill, but they'll have to re-evaluate, reset up, get themselves back into the mindset. No summoners were blown apart from Voyna's heal, so not exactly a big deal. Blaze can just get away from the barrel of Nolte, excuse me. I immediately said Taxer in my head because he's played Gragas the last 2 games, and I was like, Taxer, no.
But what we do see that's slightly different from Nolte is that he's not leaning towards the tankier Gragas. He's going to probably go Runic Echoes, maybe full tank after that. Could lean towards the AP Gragas. Both options are there. But with the Electrocute, is going to look for the quick damage, and more importantly, should look for more early pressure.
See how that one goes for Nolte. He is against XJ, and we talked about the junglers being the weak points for both these teams. What do they want to do to kind of, you know, make sure that they are not the crutch, if you like, for either of these teams? Oh, as I say that, though, we're going to see a hook coming in. Good little bit of damage now. Blaze in a lot of trouble, has to back away. And that's what you talked about, the fact that they can go in the Nautilus, but he's got so much shield and CC and tankiness that he's just very hard to just burst down.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing as well is Akatsune had a lot of bans thrown his way and has still come out looking extremely strong, has still come out looking like, honestly, they've definitely looked like the stronger bot lane, even ignoring that first blood, just the way they're playing around, the way they're the ones constantly pressuring, and it's NSG that are being forced back. So Wind and Rain, trying to capitalize on that, have sent Nulty that way too.
Are going to have Nulty down on that bot side, clearing away the pink wards so he does not get seen, but it looks like he's probably just going to back away, keep farming his jungle as best he can. And despite everything that has gone down the bot side, it's gone very passive. You know, everyone just wants to relax, pick up some farm. Mid lane's fairly even. Mundo taking a relatively small early game advantage as level 6 has been hit by the Orianna. And Zizzle also hits level 6, does pop that sadism.
Good bit of damage.
Good bit of damage.
Oh, this is such an awkward time to pause.
This is very, very awkward to pause right now.
Oh.
This honestly could be Summoner's Blown for Kerberos, or he could end up walking away scot-free.
Honestly, this could well be the kill, because you just saw the E get thrown down by Mundo. He's getting grasped the Undying procs, and unless he procs that barrel, which Zizzle managed to get to the last one first, he should at least have to flash, and Zizzle can follow with his own flash, because he's regenning at the moment.
Yeah, I did say Mundo was doing a good job. Looks like he's about to put that pressure on to Kerberos, who's already behind in CS. Tough matchup, especially in this early portion of the game, because Mundo is, whilst people think of him as a tank, he can actually slam you for a considerable amount of damage if you get close up to him, especially with that percentage health base, and also the is it Masochism, the one where he does the increased damage on the hit? That's just insane how much damage you can do with that.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive damage, and that's why Mundo in the early game, if he can hit like he has here, the level 6 point where he can just take trades and run at you, like you said in the pre-game, he's got so many potential opportunities to kind of just take advantages as they come. And NSG Blaze just backed off. We are going to have a 4-minute pause, so hopefully he comes back. But right now...
Hopefully he comes back. Yeah, I do hope so. Yeah. I hope we have a full 5-man team to play.
That would be ideal if you had a 5-man team to play here for NSG.
I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to play if you only have 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
it's in the rules.
You get DQ'd if you don't have...
Automatic DQ if you've got 4 players. Cause I think
even if you want to play 4v5, you still have to... you have to DQ. It's a bit rough. But the Poro King is still very much on that 2-1 NSG hype.
Well, obviously it was a rough start.
Yeah.
I was only laughing because I looked at Tig's face, and
I was laughing.
I want to try and redo Tig's face because it was something special. It was like trying a grimace when he's trying not to laugh.
It was. I mean, look, when you're in the middle of being talked up and you just walk forward and get one shot, it's always gonna be funny.
It was a poor timing on my part, and I apologize.
I mean, let's be real, it was poor timing on their part. They didn't respect the level 2 coming out from the other bot lane, and they got hooked in. Akatsune has been really on point with some of those Nautilus.
They obviously did not watch the I'm a Cutie Pie level 2 power spike video.
I'm telling you. They were just like, oh, it only applies to Lucian. They're just like, no, there's other people spike at level 2. Many lanes spike at level 2, in fact.
Didn't know that.
How dare you?
Actually. Is it because you unlock your second ability?
Also, your stats go like pretty high. From level 1 to 2, it's actually a pretty considerable jump.
I had it reconnected, but I have been told it's 4 minutes, so I'm not getting my hopes up right now.
We haven't been paused for a little while, though, in fairness, so I actually think we could jump straight back in fairly shortly.
But not 4 minutes.
Yeah.
No, we've not been talking 4 minutes.
No,
I think I said about 4 sentences.
At most 2.5.
I think we're coming up to the 2 minute mark.
From the moment of the pause or from the moment of swapping out to just us?
From the pause.
Really?
It's not been 4 minutes.
It's been a very long amount of time, dude.
I know we're wishing on a star here.
We are.
Hopefully get back into the game as soon as physically possible.
Yes.
I'm chilled out watching you two cast your Irish compatriots, though. It's quite good fun.
Yeah. I mean, look, we knew they were coming in as the underdogs, but for now, I mean, if they pick up that kill in the top lane, it's going relatively even. Certainly, even that bot lane has slowed down somewhat, but I will say it is Wind and Rain that have control at the moment.
Gangplank is useless when he's behind as well. This could be a lane that they look to exploit, hyper farm or hyper feed the Mundo. Might sound like a dumb idea, but if he's tankier as before Venza can... I just think of Kai'Sa. Venza. Before Kai'Sa can actually start getting the damage out, it's a good win condition.
Not even just that. If you're able to pool resources up into that top lane to deal with that threat of the Mundo, and the Mundo, like we said, just doesn't die without the Kai'Sa in the kind of like, you know, constant DPS setup, that could be another win condition for the side of NSG. But Wind and Rain, we don't know how this play is going to go down because we're still waiting to see how this play happens.
What I will say as well is, even if he starts pulling ahead in this lane, which he has, even just looking at the CS numbers, the big thing I'd be looking at is you don't need to then send XJ up top, so you can bring him down towards the bot lane, give him a bit of an easier time to counter some of the plays that you have Wind and Rain bringing out. And again, a lot of what NSG want to do is just slow it down to a mid-game they're much more comfortable with.
I know we obviously considering Win and Rain spending more time on the bottom side of the map here, as we are back into the game, so we can I can let you go again.
I don't think he was ready to flash just in time.
Flash ready to go. That pause perfectly timed to kind of go, cool, I know where to be.
Yeah.
But ends up being a summoner blown. Sheen has been picked up by him as we see another hook in that bot side. Is onto the Pyke. Pyke's able to get away. Not really much of a problem. As I say that though, Zoinkers might be in a little bit with sombreros on top of himself. Crossman. Zoning. A zoning ultimate on top of himself. As he's able to kind of force, Crossman able to force out a lot of kind of, you know, defense from Zoinker. Not really looking great.
He's almost 40 chess, by the way.
Yeah,
you cannot hear Excoundrel, but he is saying almost 40 chess.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was expecting the jump and, you know, mind games all around the place.
I don't think it was the worst idea. I mean,
nope.
because he didn't jump back there, it meant that it gave him room to get out without any mana. Zoinkers would have been in a lot of trouble if it was even just Crossman autoing.
Yeah, and Voina, there's the Gangplank ultimate along with the Ignite, and that is huge. You need to respect that damage, and this Nautilus is becoming massive.
I mean, what I'm looking at is just Nautilus has landed every hook. They haven't had come close to dodging, and yes, it's a wide hitbox, but every hook. I mean, literally every one.
My question there is, why does Blaze not walk up? As I say that, though, it's actually going to be the Gragas finding Zizzle. Then forcing the flash, so
Zizzle's doing what he can.
Zizzle's doing what he can, but at the same time, Wind and Rain, we need to focus on their positives right now as well, because their bot lane is crushing.
Yeah, I mean, they have looked so strong so far, and honestly, you know, Fax is doing fine, Fax is doing 80 carry things. Akatsune just doesn't seem stoppable at this point, just every single hook, finding his opening. And you could argue that it's somewhat being offered to him, which I would definitely have to say NSG are kind of offering it up to him in a lot of cases, but he's still exploiting those openings and finding himself a pretty considerable lead just down in that bot lane.
And that's the scary thing as well, is that, you know, you could see that NSG were trying to throw down XJ, they were trying to give a little bit of relief for the bot lane, but it's just not working out because, like you said, they're just walking into these face hooks, and it's not helping them whatsoever. And at that stage as well, I always like to feel that, you know, when you're being pushed back and pushed up to your lane, you know, the Nautilus is such a scary kind of, interesting hook for a hook. Does actually land a bit of a root. They actually get a good bit of damage there onto Akatsune. And needs to be a little bit careful. Has to pop some pots. Has got Moby boots now, so is a lot faster for such a big man.
Looking now is potentially another awful trade for them. Oh
no. Dearie me. Voina gonna fall down as well as Pyke. And this has just gone from bad to worse. They won't even be able to trade back Fax. Double kill for the Kaiser. And it's 5-0, a 3,500 gold lead. Wind and Rain sitting pretty and looking fine.
Yeah, and you can see XJ was trying to get there in time for that play, but they're happening too quickly for him to be in a position to respond to. He either has to start the play or just leave it, because he's not going to be able to turn it around as Sejuani that quickly.
And Sejuani as well, not exactly the greatest pick into the Gragas or into the Nautilus, because they've got so much CC that can deal with your kind of, you know, your Arctic Assault. So many ways of kind of pushing you back. But right now, this is where we talked about how Wind and Rain can just play around this bot lane. They don't have to touch topside. You know, Excoundrel mentioned it in the pre-game. That's all they have to do now. It's literally just leave Gangplank up topside. He's not going to die now because he's got his Sheen. He's got enough damage on those barrels as they've leveled up to, like, you know, a level 8. He's fine. Yeah,
and he's also able to just play around bot lane without leaving. He just throws down his ult. He's already picked up 1 assist there. He can do that anytime they want to force a play around there, and he'll still find himself a little bit of extra gold that Zizzle does not have the time to get.
We'll see now. Zoinker's going to get chained up. They have got the ultimate from the Gragas as well, forcing a flash. Ignite comes out, as does the barrier. No summers now on that Orianna in the mid lane. No ultimate available for Nulty, but got what he wanted. That's perfectly fine for him, and it looks like he might go skull regank, because honestly, Crossman could just gank or dive this. As I say that though, they predicted it.
Oh, there it is!
40 chess! And he gets the kill! Return kill goes over to XJ, but very well played. Very good prediction there from XJ.
Yeah, it was a good prediction for XJ, but also shout out to Zoinkers. They're able to consistently follow up on that as well. And now it's going to slow down again.
Yep.
Again, this is Wind and Rain still very much in control. We can't, especially look at that gold lead. That is insane for this early on, especially when you have yet to take a tower. 3k gold lead is near unheard of at 10 minutes without a tower going down.
Even with a Gangplank, it's a bit ridiculous.
I mean, the Gangplank's not getting that much extra gold, considering he's not running Kleptomancy.
Yeah, very true.
So
I do love the watermelons in those skin. The
Yeah,
barrels
it is
and
quite
that.
good.
They're actually so satisfying. It's like a watermelon and a pineapple are the two in the chromas, I do
Yeah.
believe. So nice. But as I say that there, we might see another engage. Voina already taken down to about half health. Hooked. Ooh, just about misses. And they actually just flash in. Ignite down. There is the depth charge. Just working wonders right now for the side of Wind and Rain. And this bot lane, it's just not a fun place to watch if you're an NFT fan.
You can't play that far forward when you're dealing with that much damage. And you saw that early on. I think it was, as Jhin, you effectively had to concede farm until the wave arrived for you. And that just wasn't happening. They were trying to play up there, trying to farm, and that meant that they were offering up these free hooks. That's what gave Akatsune the first lead. And now at this point, you have to concede very far back. You have to start farming under tower, because otherwise you end up getting picked off like that.
Yeah, and they're going to start with Cloud Drake as well. Not exactly the most effective Drake in the world. You'd rather a snowbally one like the Infernal, or... As I say that, though, we might see a little bit of engage. Ignite goes down. TP being committed as well. Akatsune just being left to die. Zizzle TP'd. No real reason for it. They did lose the Drake. They are going to have to try and reset. Gangplank, though, been left by himself in this top side. Doesn't really have anyone to answer him.
Okay, Zizzle's found something to do while he's here. He's going to try pressure Nulti off his red buff.
Will do it successfully.
Okay, and now Fax. Blazes with them.
They do have the ultimate from the Gangplank coming in, as well as LeBlanc, but that's just too much damage, not enough respect. And Fax is huge. You can't go in on that without having full vision and full knowledge of where everybody is.
I mean, it was close. You gotta give him that. And I think Zizzle was expecting his team to back him up just a little bit quicker. They weren't there in time, and they got knocked away, and now Snulty. Oh, okay.
XJ.
Unfortunate on that one.
Does get the red buff steal, but that's not a Glacial Prison optimal use there, unfortunately. And this gold lead's, it's not growing super fast, but it's still growing.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone from 3 to 4k, so in normal game you'd say it's growing fast, but relatively it looks quite slow.
Yeah. In the last minute or two, no. It has not moved. But the big thing now is, where does the Kai'Sa move from here? Wind and Rain, a little bit of a crux for them has been their mid game. They're kind of like, you know, not pushing up as when they have advantages. How do they kind of keep pushing with these kind of like big advantages they picked up for themselves?
I mean, I'm just looking back to that top lane where it was kind of their shining light. That's Triforce finished for Gangplank.
Yeah.
That's not what you want. They have the lane swap to deal with the AD carry, the bot lane. This should be, again, Wind and Rain with all the cards here. But let's have a look at a replay here.
Yeah, replay going to come in, hopefully from that last fight, and we see that bot lane is just...
Look, just far extended. Like, Akatsune is on half health. That doesn't matter. You are so far behind that Fax can walk right up to you and take both of you on until Akatsune arrives.
Akatsune doesn't even have to be there realistically. Like, he could just... That could just be Fax doing so much damage, and like you said, lack of respect, not knowing where everybody is, not respecting the damage that can come down, and top lane falls as well.
Yeah, and this is just, I mean... That was kind of the standard of the bot lane for the whole start of the game, and that's led into this very quick momentum for Wind and Rain to just start taking out objective after objective. They found the dragon while they had their bot lane still down there. They're now getting the Rift Herald. While it's like they haven't done it perfectly, it's being made look a little bit easier, honestly, by NSG somewhat misplaying. They're still doing what's kind of your standard cookie cutter, this is how we win the game. You go, okay, we have our bot lane bot, we get the tower, get the dragon, then rotate them top, get the Rift Herald, get the tower. Now they use that Rift Herald to crack open the mid, or they can hold on to it if they can take mid without it. I almost feel like I'm doing a monologue on it because it's just so standard what this whole meta has been in the early game.
Yeah, and it's laid out a ton of play, but if it's laid out that easily for the side of Wind and Rain, you would hope, if you're an NSG fan, that it would also be predictable from their end as well.
Can they finally engage in the mid lane? Because that's obviously going to be the next focus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and XJ hasn't actually done that badly this game. He's just been a little bit late to the party. It's funny how we talked about the bot lane, or we didn't actually talk about the bot lane that much. We actually said it as like, oh, this is a fine lane for like Jhin and Pyke. It's been destroyed. It's been dismantled. There's a 100% kill participation for this Kai'Sa. It's just not been pretty.
No, but maybe I think we were saying anything about XJ. He can't respond that quickly. He's Sejuani. I think it's unreasonable to expect unless you predict the plays. But in a lot of those cases, that was just the lane losing.
Yep, 100% agree. As Zizzle might try and run down Kerberos.
He has the level 11 regen.
He does have it. will be able to move in. Both ultimates expended. Kerberos here, it might have to be forced to flash. Is Glacial Prison misses, but they will be able to get the Arctic Assault down. They are going to try and use the Gragas ultimate. Zoinker's a little bit of trouble there now. Actually, the Gragas is in a little bit of trouble, and that's the opportunity that the side of NSG wanted. Wind and Rain dropped the ball a tiny bit.
I mean, they definitely dropped the ball there. First of all, the top lane pick is fine, but certainly giving away Nulti there was more than unnecessary. And NSG find themselves, and we won't say way back into the game, but certainly they find themselves picks that'll help slow this down.
And this is the big scary thing we talked about from the side of Wind and Rain. Zizzle will not die to this Gangplank. That's just the way it is. And the longer this game goes, the more kills he kind of able to get himself, the worse it becomes for this Kerberos split push, because he's not really able to deal with it that effectively. Yes, he's got the global of the Gangplank ultimate, but at the same time, that's not going to do a massive amount of damage until he starts picking up some items around level 16.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at the solo lanes from NSG, who are actually doing fine. The 201, 111, I think it's pretty much what you expect, and now Mundo's going to be very hard to deal with. Once he gets either probably the Spirit Visage coming in here, potentially an Adaptive Helm for Kai'Sa. Expect the Spirit Visage first anyway. That'll be a lot of tankiness that they have to very quickly deal with in a fight. And NSG, we were saying, want to slow it down until they get the team fight position they're comfortable in. They should not be comfortable now, but they may be able to get a bit of comfort if they stall out for a bit longer.
Stalling out would be the name of the game if you weren't already looking at a 2-item Kai'Sa.
Yeah, but you still need to.
Of course, it is still.
It's your only option. I'm not saying it's a great option, but it's the one you've left yourselves with.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Well, let's bring it all back. Bring it all back to you. And Wind and Rain, they're going to be looking at what looks like it's going to be an Infernal Rift Herald summon into the mid lane, like you predicted it would be. It's going to be a pretty easy take on the tower. Boom, clap. And that is going to be the Rift Herald doing what a Rift Herald does properly. They need to hit its eye.
Charge.
Yeah, I was going to say they need to kill it before it hits the next one, because it still does a flat 1500, even if it's on 1 health.
They got that off.
They got it off, and that is going to be all outer turrets for the side of NSG taken down. So we see now Infernal Drake. This is a big Drake for the side of Wind and Rain, because it just gives Kai'Sa and LeBlanc and Gangplank that's so much more for them. As I say that though, Blaze gonna try come up to this top side onto Kerberos, not really able to find anything, just gonna be able to force him back, give Jin even, not Chin, more time. He's got a pretty big chin on his mask. Yeah, I can give him that. Chinny.
Either way, I think I'm looking now. NSG basically just gave up the dragon, that's fine. Yeah. They're behind.
I was just going to say, do you ever think, like, as an insult, someone could call you, like, oh, you have such a Jin chin?
No.
Yeah.
I've never thought that. That like, collection of words has never formed a sentence in my head that has come anywhere close to that.
But if you think about it, like, if I called you a Jin chin, if you had a Jin chin, you'd be like, what?
I'd assume you're calling me a Shin Shin, which is an insult.
Oh my god. Wow, okay. Excoundrel's done. We broke Excoundrel. But now that we come up to about just under the 20-minute mark, we're looking at a 4,000 gold lead, maybe just a little bit under, for the side of Wind and Rain. That gold lead that they picked up about 8 minutes ago, still that 8-minute lead. So they're not growing it exponentially fast, but at the same time, there's not a huge amount of golden lights for the side of NSG. So Wind and Rain, what's the next step? You talked about the Rift Herald, you talked about the mid lane priority. Now all the easy objectives are gone. What's next?
You get Baron control. And then you have Kai'Sa, who's extremely fed. You might as well take Baron. You can get full control over it. That's NSG's one opportunity to try get this game. If they can get that stolen, if they can try get a fight around there where there's been a few too many people tanking Baron for Wind and Rain, that's their opening. It's a very difficult opening, as you're basically allowing Kai'Sa to charge up a Gwynsu's and then starting a fight with her. But see what you can do.
See what they can do. Wind and Rain, though, as you said, very much still in control of this game. No turrets yet to be picked up there for the side of NSG. Plenty of wards to be taken, though, to establish full Baron control, as we see the slippery purple worm now. For someone so nimble and he just doesn't leave the pit, it's just absolutely crazy to me, as we see Nautilus hooking himself out despite the Deadly Flourish root. Just showing a little bit of flex there, saying, it doesn't matter, I'm Nautilus. I got 3 kills and it doesn't matter.
Speaking of a Hinshin, though, this has been their top lane shining light. Their top lane shining light. And that's all Zizzle's trying to do right now, just running straight down the lane and being like, I know I can beat you, just stop running under tower, please.
Yeah, that's literally it.
And effectively, that's all Kerberos needs to do. He just needs to hold on, make sure he can save his ultimate to help out at the Baron pit if a fight happens there. And this should be them, again, doing the next step in what is your standard League of Legends win.
Standard is not necessarily in the vocabulary of these teams, given how most of these games in these quarterfinals sometimes goes. But NSG, like you said, needed the stall. They have stalled. They've given themselves a little bit of extra time. It's not been amazing stall, but there's no real huge proactiveness coming out from the side of Wind and Rain.
It's the Baron that you need to stall more than anything, because that's what accelerates this game into the most difficult portion. It's if you can stall them off Baron in the sense that you're always around to effectively steal it, that's where it becomes useful, and this is the best way to stall, if you can kill someone on the other side of the map.
Yeah, Kerberos needs to be so careful. Has not got any kind of healing debuff. Zizzle just landing those Qs. Look at the amount of damage he's able to do with that max health. You know, 8% of your current health, I do believe it is. Just able to constantly wear him down, constantly just boom, 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 and he comes out of it. His ult's going to be up in like about, 30 seconds. That's not a big deal, and he can just dive this.
Yeah, he should be able to. Kerberos playing with the tower as best he can.
He's playing with the tower as best he can, but if these Qs keep landing, Zizzle might be able to get it. Zizzle not able to get out of under the side of it, but Ignite comes down. Crossman able to push in, forcing the flash from him. Actually misses the ethereal chain, but it doesn't actually matter. Zizzle does go down. They didn't lose anything, not even a flash from the gangplank, and that's just unfortunate timing from NSG. Great roam from Wind and Rain.
And honestly, you gotta give credit to Kerberos, just ran him around the tower so many times. And Fax!
Oh, that's the person they wanted the most, and Fax is taking so much damage, shut down! Now Nolty's in a lot of trouble, great explosive cast, but he's drawn back in! Voina finds himself a kill, and that's the pick that NSG needed!
This is very unexpected, but I'm happy to see it. Let's see if NSG can pull it around now. They've Crossman trying to put down damage, and they're now moving towards this Baron. Can they secure it? This is a slow Baron take from this team.
I was just about to say, without the Mundo and you've got a Jhin on your side, it's going to be a very slow take. They've got the TP coming in. This could be a massive fight that could potentially decide the fate of this game, maybe even this series. But Crossman gets caught out. He jumps in, has to immediately jump back out. Now we're going to see Nautilus. He's going to try and get as much of a disruption as he can with the depth charge as they're trying to get this Baron down. It's down to 4,000 health. XJ needs to be healed up by Voina, but he ends up being taken down on the backside of this Kerberos. It's just being an absolute nuisance. Orianna falls down. They do take down the LeBlanc. They can still go for this, but it's so risky as Kaiser is back in this fight. They need to try and just disengage. Take what you can. They lose 2, gain 1. They don't really get anything else. And now Zizzle might actually be in a bit of trouble. Kaiser has joined the fight, and now they might just be Wind and Rain turning onto this Baron.
I mean, you said lose 2, gain 1. That is definitely a loss from that fight. So we are now looking at them turning onto the Baron. It is NSG now a bit out of control because they have lost their jungler, and it's a Kai'Sa that's being shredded.
Yeah, it's a Kai'Sa. Does get hit though, does get ruined. Takes a lot of Baron damage, needs to flash away. They might be able to just completely disengage from this. That hook could be crucial.
What is happening right now? The amount of damage going down around this Baron. We said they need to stall out Baron. Best way to do it? Just continually fight around it and somehow stall it out. Can Zizzle find more?
Zizzle is just delaying backs right now. He wants to try and make sure that the NSG can get as much off this as they possibly can. That is most likely just going to be the mid lane turret. Kai'Sa just goes back. Blanc is finally back here, but a lot of damage onto Blaze is going to force them back from this mid lane. Nothing is really taken, but Dragon has spawned. NSG could look to take this quickly.
Okay, I'm going to bring this down now, as that has been a lot of action real quickly. I actually not sure I'm ready to, because you can see here they're looking to fight over the Dragon. It's Wind and Rain. There's 4 people nearby, but NSG have already got 4 people on it.
Yeah,
and now Zizzle on the wrong side.
Zizzle's on the wrong side, but he can jump onto Fax. Fax is the one they want to try and kill, but Zizzle has not really got any kind of support with him. They're just turning onto the Dragon as quick as they can. They will take it. They lose 1. The Gragas barrel is a little bit too late. It does help the disengage. They trade 1 for the Dragon. It's kind of an okay trade if you're on NSG, but this, we're casting from Spain, and this is a fiesta.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'm looking at now is Wind and Rain. They just took out the member that they've been struggling with the most, I would say, and they could turn on to this Baron. You can see they're pinging it now, but let's have a quick look at the replay of that.
Yeah, we're going to wait and see now what they go for it. Kai'Sa needs to be careful. Pyke was hanging around. They may just try and establish vision control again. No real strong vision from either side now coming into this Baron. QSS, very importantly, finished up on the Kai'Sa, so that kind of a pick that led to the Baron being started should not happen again if the Kai'Sa plays it correctly. It can only
block one of the CC. There's a lot of CC coming in. It certainly can't block the likes of an Ori ultimate coming in.
Yeah, we're going to have a quick replay of that fight, see exactly what went down, but like this is how Fax gets caught.
Look at how they get onto Fax. Zoinkers is over the wall, really good combo there. Nice. Even with the QSS, that would likely have been a dead Kai'Sa. And then Nolty's forced to flash away. The hook landing during the explosive cast was really nice from Blaze. just managed to get it off in time, dragged him back in, and turned into a very messy game, but certainly that's the ideal for NSG. We were talking about how we were going through the standard League of Legends that was going to allow Wind and Rain to win. Moving away from standard is exactly what NSG want right now.
And speaking of not standard, Hex Drinker on the pike. He wants to try and just stay alive as much as he can as they try to jump on the flags. They got him, but Sombrero from the Orianna is disastrous. Now we're going to see the depth charges. Voina tries to jump onto Fax. They're still trying to go for this. It's a 4v2. They're trying to come in with Cross now. Voina trying to just back away as best as he possibly can, but there is the Nautilus and the Gragas doing so much work onto this. As I say that though, Zoinkers is the one who picks up the first kill. Kerberos was not able to join this fight. Nulty just about gets himself safe and backs away. It ends up being a kill going over in favor of NSG, but that looks so bad for a second.
If that hit had landed from Jin's ultimate, it would have left him low enough to be picked up by Pyke ultimate. That would have been huge for them. A lot of gold being spread around, and you're still looking at like a nearly 5k gold deficit, but you would not tell by the way this is playing out.
That Sombrero, that Orianna ultimate was actually upsetting.
Look, we'll see it in the replay, but I think it was they're expecting once the hook came through, it was going to still hit him and drag him further forward. But I think what ended up happening was that it was immediately flashed away from. But we'll have a look about that in a sec, as we get a little bit of time to slow this game down.
Breathe.
Breathe.
I'm going to take a drink of water, but
Kerberos, you do not get a chance to breathe. In comes Zizzle.
Zizzle comes in. That's good wave clear though from Kerberos. Has got enough to kind of sustain and keeps himself alive.
I've seen this before.
Does back away mainly because of that, but have a look at the replay now as we look at that fight. That kind of actually it's going to be the Baron fight that we look at.
Yeah, you can see here that it was just really messy, but it was because NSG do this so slowly. They were taking a lot of Baron damage and allowing Wind and Rain just run up to them. And that meant Crossman found the jump in. Akatsune actually flashing for the auto was hilarious, and he ends up getting the shutdown. And then hooks himself out of there. But
that was it, and the thing is to look at this right now is that Zizzle is still owning this lane against Kerberos, who is still building full split push. Triforce, Starix Gauge into
this is like your ideal 3-out of Spike as Gangplank, but I'm still not sure it's enough against Mundo, who's kind of happily able to run you down so far.
Yeah, once he gets a Warmogs, you don't kill him. There's no debuff apart from Ignites on the side of it. Woo! XJ got so scared there. It was like, get him!
I can understand how that one would throw you, because it was actually, the passive had been procced, so it was, they hit the blast cone to the other side, so all they saw in their vision was a LeBlanc blast coning in.
It's a bit tense right now. It's still a 5,000 gold lead, and I talked about a 5,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. We're now coming up to 30 minutes. It's still a 5,000 gold lead. The kind of, you know, relativeness of that gold lead is becoming less and less. Infernal Drake eats a piece, only really the Cloud Drake to kind of give anything to Wind and Rain in that regard. Turret's still very much standing gold. NSG can be relatively proud knowing that they actually did kind of just back everything up a little bit and stall it out. But Wind and Rain...
Sorry, considering that lane, it is amazing that they're anywhere close to even right now.
That's my point. But Wind and Rain still have an incredibly fed Kai'Sa, still have a very, very strong Gangplank, and LeBlanc still has the potential to one-shot pretty much everyone bar Zizzle. Yeah. So plenty of things to go on. As I say that, Blaze jumps in, Bloina gets caught, it gets rooted up. He's trying to just keep himself alive as much as he possibly can, but Jin dies on the back of that as well. Zoinkers is still there. Now he eventually falls, and they're just going to be able to try and get onto Fax. There is the golden. Zoinkers trying, or not Zoinkers, excuse me, Fax trying to go in. Blaze does eventually fall after his ultimate. Zizzle's going to take a very long time to go down. Maybe he's able to take out Fax in the meantime.
No,
they're just able to keep him off. It's a triple kill for the Kai'Sa, and that is going to be ace for Team of Wind and Rain. That's going to spell Baron.
And I'm not going to lie, that's the fight that Wind and Rain should have had at least 10 minutes ago. You get Kai'Sa into the backline, just completely decimates everyone. If she's in any danger, manages to ult around. Wind and Rain doing the fight that we expected from them long ago, that have been forced away from them by NSG. It looked impressive, but it was much more standard
in the replay. I want us to focus on Voina, because Voina's the one who dies immediately, and that's a lot of your damage, your burst damage that you used to get onto Fax, gone. If he gets like 1 or 2 auto, or even an auto and a Q onto Fax, Fax probably dies to Zizzle.
Yeah, but the big thing here is both key carries get taken out immediately, because yes, you say it is Voina who's immediately focused, but Zoinker's the second focus, and he's just gone from Kai'Sa.
Kept thinking of Zoinkers in the fight because I saw Blaze, and I was just like, nope, that's Pyke. Definitely said Zoinkers. It's like Shaggy, just like, oh,
Zoink. Zoinks.
Is it Zoinks?
Yeah,
yeah,
Zoinks
you're right. It is Zoinks.
Zoinkers is an original Irish take on it, I guess.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to wait and see the replay as the replay is coming up now. Let's have a look at how this fight comes down. And NSG, they need to be so careful of these engages.
Yeah, you actually had a good poke there from
Voina.
the Orianna. But the big thing here is Voina walks over the ward as this comes through, and then Crossman covers so much distance so quickly. The standard for LeBlanc here, really. And then it's Akatsune quickly following it as well. Because it was actually a good stop there, good shield from Zoinkers, but that left him open once Fax completely flanked them, because it was actually an AD carry flank that took them out.
Yep.
Which is generally not a thing, but when all your gold lead, which of 5k is on your AD carry, it definitely becomes a thing.
Yeah, pretty much. And actually, as I say that though, huge Baron wave in that bot side. Crossman jumps in. They're going to have to see the Jhin ultimate as Naughty gets dragged in, forced to use his body slam to get out. But that turret is taking so much punishment, it will eventually fall.
One down.
That's one down. Now we might see a little bit more of an engage. Kai'Sa is there. They do get the root down onto XJ.
Yeah.
Knock him back. Double kill. The Zizzle did go down. This is most likely going to be game one, going over to Wind and Rain as they drag in the minions. They drag in the Baron buff. They drag out this game. But overall, they get the W, and that's what's important.
They do. Let's give them a sec to get it. Okay, yeah, pick themselves up a few more kills. Probably fair. Crossman. I will say Crossman kind of dragged this game back because it had been stalling for so long, and then you suddenly saw like one LeBlanc pick, and it was like, oh, we actually have a super fed AD carry, guys. We should probably use that now that we've got the numbers advantage, and then you saw it very quickly snowball from there. So, look, Wind and Rain were dominant. There's no two ways about it. NSG somehow slowed them down after what was a terrible laning phase for them. Credit to them. It's not enough at that point. No.
The way I phrased it in a tweet was Nuclear Storm Gaming are making this game far more interesting than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
I think that was the better
fair.
way of really looking at this.
Completely agree.
They certainly came back from what was a pretty terrible level 1, 2 in the bot lane, which we had a bit of a meme about.
Yeah.
They especially in the top lanes, it was impressive. They definitely kept Wind and Rain on their toes. It was not a stomp. It was a 30-odd, getting towards 30-odd minute game. That is not a stomp by any stretch of the imagination. Like BP said, it was a 5k gold lead. That was a consistent 5k gold lead until the end, pretty much, So that was impressive from Nuclear Storm Gaming. I fully expected after that level 2 that this was going to be a 20-minute GG go next game.
If even 20 minutes.
I mean, sorry, like the level 2 was a bit rough, but I think you have to consider that whole lane continued to go like that, so that was a massive amount of gold funneled into Kai'Sa that still got slowed down.
And I think Zizzle's damage output shows you exactly why he brought this kind of thing to the table. He was the second highest damage in the game, with Kai'Sa obviously only being the top. I didn't like the Gangplank pick, personally. No. I felt like he did absolutely nothing.
I think Kerberos can definitely pick a lot of better
I will say that at least he got some good ults in. Now that they have red side, I would hope that Kerberos will pick something with a bit more lane priority.
I just feel like the Gangplank did nothing. This was a Kai'Sa game. If that bot lane had not snowballed as hard as it did, it could have genuinely been an NSG win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Zizzle was having the run of the mill up there. He was really having a great time.
Credit to Crossman as well. He kind of waited for the LeBlanc to get enough damage to one-shot a backline and then started using it. I think that's kind of what slowed the game down. They were relying on Kai'Sa entirely, and then it was like Crossman's like, okay, now I can kill Jhin in one shot, and then he just ended the game from there.
The thing that I mentioned in the broadcast or in the game as well, and it's something that kind of like is kind of sitting there on the shoulder of Wind and Rain, is that mid game they did nothing. They literally did nothing for a good 15 minutes, despite having this massive gold lead, this hugely fed Kai'Sa.
They did something. They got picked.
They got picked off. But that's a very scary thing. If you don't have that 5,000 gold lead, say it's a 1,000, 2,000. Those picks become a hell of a lot worse because you haven't got that buffer to make back those mistakes, and they need to make sure that they shore up those mistakes and make sure that it doesn't happen again.
I feel like we are kind of not giving the credit that Wind and Rangers deserve because of how we think NSG actually performed pretty well. That Nautilus pick into Pyke, brilliant.
That was huge.
Brilliant
Crazy.
pick.
I mean, there's a reason that lane won.
And I think obviously we can all say Wind and Rain should have won earlier. I think it's fair to say that they probably could have done, but at the end of the day they did win. So they obviously played incredibly well. What I do want to give credit to NSG for though is, and you saw it a couple of times, some sick team fighting from them. When they got the setup, when they made those picks onto Kai'Sa, they knew what their win condition in team fights were. It was hard to execute on it every time. The AD carry mechanics of Fax made it so tough for Zizzle to actually get to that back line, but that combo of the Sejuani ultimate into the shockwave into Pike, yeah, that was clean, and they certainly had a spark of life in there, which I think Wind and Rain will respect going into the next game.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we've credited Zizzle a lot, but I want to give massive credit out to Zoinkers as well.
Yeah.
Every time a good pick came through, it was likely the Orianna helping out. Even in that last fight,
There was
they
also
almost survived.
There was also a few sombreros.
There was, and there was also a lot of LeBlanc you have to deal with.
True. If you sombrero 9 times, but 2 times you make the shockwave that wins you the game, you can sombrero all you like.
I mean, in fairness,
you know,
I think there was 3 sombreros, 1 of which hit. So
one was like, as I said, I think I screamed 4D chess.
Yeah,
because I
so,
was like,
mean,
mind blown. But yeah, I do agree. I think Zoinkers did well. My only criticism of Zoinkers was that he didn't really do any damage, because there was a couple of team fights, especially towards the end, where his shockwaves either sombreroed or he just didn't use it. Like, especially when when Voina got caught in that part of the jungle, there was a good 4-man stack. Yes, the Kaiser wasn't there, but your shockwave will still do a fair bit of damage onto that LeBlanc, and it can sometimes, you know, be a little bit better. But I agree with you, Zoinkers did play very well, given the hand
he almost
had.
saved that by throwing the shield down. It was only because Akatsune actually went forward with the Nautilus on top of the LeBlanc pick. Otherwise, it would have been Jin surviving with a flash. So that's why I was like, you could see points there where he almost saved things, but yeah, there was of course the sombreros. We can call it the bad plays, but I want to mention some good plays coming out here.
I do think Zoinkers had a pretty solid game, and I'll give it to him. He had a good scoreline. You know, good scoreline at the end represents that he played safe, knew where he needed to be for the most part.
And it's not an easy lane.
It's not an easy lane.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're playing against Crossman's LeBlanc as well, he's particularly adept on that champion. But overall, I think that the parting fray or the parting thought of this particular matchup was NSG surprised.
Yes.
It was definitely, in my mind, going to be a quick 2-0 sweep for Wind and Rain. I didn't think there was going to be any competition here whatsoever, but there is.
Yep.
And actually, there is a genuine look in at the next game where I think there is a realm of possibility where, with the right draft, NSG could win.
Did Doctor Strange see like 144 million different possibilities in one NSG
I've
win?
got the Doctor part, Strange part separately. Maybe if I put them together, in my mind, there is one possibility out of 600,000 million.
Yeah, whatever it was.
But they lost the first game to get there. So anyway, we will jump to a quick break. When we come back, we will have the next game in this series between NSG and Wind and Rain. Don't go anywhere.
But how tanky?